Hello traders, welcome to the weekly outlook and setups volume 277. Happy new month. First of all, March is here. So without further ado, let's jump into the market. We're also going to have a look at the monthly time frame and drop a very nice top-down analysis to prepare for the first week of March. Let's get into it. Of course, let's just stop by the economic calendar. So on Monday, we're having the manufacturing PMI for the US, and also we have CPI for the Euro. So Monday does look like it could potentially be volatile. Then on Tuesday, we don't have any USD news. We actually have a speech from Bank of Japan here and some Aussie news. So not much of an important day on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, a lot of red news here. GDP for the Aussie, CPI here for Swiss franc. This one is also very important. This is the preliminary NFP. So the NFP numbers released before the NFP. I'm not sure what the purpose of that is, but whatever. It tends to drive in some volume. And then we have the services PMI. So Wednesday looks like an incredible day. On Thursday, we have interest rate for the Euro, expecting to be cut again. And then we have unemployment claims for the USD, press conference for the Euro. So it looks like we could have a very nice Euro day on Thursday. And then, of course, on Friday, we have NFP together with a speech from Mr. Powell. So it looks like a pretty nice week. The highlights are pretty much, of course, the NFP, and we're having the interest rate for the Euro, and also the manufacturing and the services PMIs for the US. Those tend to be very volatile, so definitely watch out for them. And of course, being the first week of the month, it's usually going a little bit slow. It could potentially start manipulating somewhere, but our goal as traders is to just flow with the market. So without further ado, let's see how the charts are looking like. There are so many prop firms out there, but the one I prefer is FundedNext. First off, they have multiple plans, but my favorite is the Stellar plan because you actually get paid to pass your challenge, which is a huge incentive to trade it professionally. They offer a 95% profit split and payouts hit your bank account in under 24 hours, or else you get paid $1,000. FundedNext offers competitive profit targets and crazy affordable pricing. Like for just $32, you can control $5,000 account on their Stellar Lite plan. It's crazy value and they accept all payment methods, credit card, PayPal, even crypto. FundedNext is well established in the UAE with a strong reputation, rated 4.6 on Trustpilot with over 27k reviews. I trade with them, my community trades with them, and we love them. Now it's your turn. Use the link in the description plus code FANATICFN for 120% refund when you pass your challenge. Before we get started, make sure to join my free school community. It's an absolutely incredible, positive community with a lot of value from everybody. And the classroom here is a full course that I've never shared anywhere. So make sure to join. It's the first link in the description. All right, let's get started with the DXY. Now, of course, the first thing that is very relevant for us, I have been drawing this for quite a couple of weekly outlooks right now, is that monthly bullish imbalance. And the key question is the market going to pull back all the way down there before potentially it continues higher? Well, currently looking at the candle anatomy of that last monthly candle, I do see it as having a little bit of a more bullish sign here, especially within the last half of the candle. We saw here a very nice wick being created, creating that sweep of the previous monthly low. So the market seems like it's reacting from somewhere there. But you can see this was kind of created exactly this week. So the market this week, again, it kept sweeping the previous weekly low, sweeping the previous weekly low. And this week we actually expanded and we broke above the previous weekly high with a body. All right. So this is kind of showing me a little bit of a sign of potential bullish reversal here. Okay. So technically, I will only be expecting that monthly bullish imbalance to get tapped if the market starts right now opening and starts printing some bearish order flow. This weekly candle here definitely does suggest buyers are getting in. However, you can see here we also had a very nice bullish candle and we could have said, all right, we're going for new highs. But then the market rejected, started printing bearish order flow. And then, of course, we adapted our analysis immediately to start becoming more bearish. And I really do like how the market closed. Like, look at that. This is looking very good right now. We're having that overall break of structure here with a very beautiful daily bullish imbalance here. Again, of course, you can draw your demand zones, whatever you like, okay? That's it. So very simple analysis. I would say I am definitely inclined more towards bullishness on the DXY, especially after this very nice recent shift. I would definitely love to see a market pulling back towards that daily imbalance here and then starting to give me bullish signs. And then, of course, targets are pretty clear. Like for example, first we will be targeting this high and then of course all the highs above. Now, am I calling a full-blown reversal right here? Because we have been bearish for a while on that pullback. I'm not yet, because usually for me, I confirm a reversal when I have two higher highs. So there is the first one. I would look for the market to pull back, create another one, and then I will definitely be a lot more convinced that the market is going to go higher. And of course, the second scenario will be if the market just disrespects that daily imbalance and starts printing bearish order flow, then guess what? Again, you know how I trade. I always give scenarios and I just wait for the market to show me what it wants to do, and then I just simply flow with it. I would prefer the bullishness side right now, definitely, but if that of course fails and we start getting bearish, I would immediately then target this low, and then potentially I can forecast the market could be traveling towards the monthly bullish imbalance. All right. But for now, I would stick with the long bias because it just looks pretty good. And you can even see how strongly we closed here within that massive push. And we also had that hourly bullish imbalance here. Now, do you really want a long from here? I don't like it. It definitely could give a very quick long, but eventually the market will like to rebalance the hard time frame imbalance in the form of that daily. So there could be a very short pop higher, but then I would be very mindful that the market could start pulling back into that daily imbalance here. Okay, so this is the DXY. It actually looks pretty bullish on the daily, on the 4-hourly time frame, and even coming from the monthly and the weekly, we saw within the candle anatomy that it's looking a lot more bullish than bearish. So I would start slowly calling longs right now on the DXY. Of course, if that 4-hourly and if this daily imbalance starts holding towards the upside, I would definitely keep going long, potentially into the second and the third week of the month. That could be very nice. So let's see, this week is actually going to determine, especially with this daily imbalance, are we going to go up or are we going to start flipping back down? Well, looking at EURUSD, look at the candle anatomy of the monthly candle, right? It's actually staying inside the previous month. So you can see this year so far, we did nothing. January was absolute chop, and then also February kind of gap down, tried to push, failed, kind of closing as a bullish candle, but it has a very big wick on top that kind of signifies a lot of rejection coming in. We also have that monthly bearish imbalance, very similar to the DXY. However, if the DXY right now shifts bullish, then EURUSD can potentially shift bearish, and EURUSD should be bearish because even this week they're going to be further cutting their rates. So that is definitely fundamentally bearish for the euro. Dropping onto the weekly time frame now. Here we've had pretty big chop on the EURUSD has been very choppy, and we've been finding opportunities here and there, but nothing super clear. You can see the last couple of weeks, absolutely nothing. No imbalances, no clear structure. It's not even taking the liquidity, right? So we had this liquidity on the top, this liquidity on the bottom. On the move down, it did not take it. On the move up, it also did not take it. Like, why are you doing this? Why are you so stuck within this nasty range? And then of course we drop to the daily time frame where you can start finding some more opportunities. I haven't really taken the trade this week on EURUSD. I just took a gold break even and that's it this week. Super choppy. And you can see it here on the daily time frame, just chopped up, chopped up, chopped up. But right now, again, with that introduction of bearishness, pretty much within the last 2 days, is it going to sustain? That is my main question right now. Is it going to sustain? We have broken the structure here. Now the question is, are we going to retrace? Are we going to hold and continue making new lows, after which then, as I said on the DXY, we can start targeting some of these bigger lows here. All right. So that is going to be EURUSD, and also basing it on that analysis with the DXY that is starting to look very bullish as well. This one is pretty similar. It also popped down here. It doesn't have a hourly bearish imbalance. I would definitely prefer a daily pullback on EU. But let's say if Monday opens and it forms a hourly bearish imbalance here, you could also, very similar to the DXY, look for a quick pullback and a potential pop, but don't expect for it to flush forever. Very likely there is going to be a time during the week at which it's going to pop higher, pull us back into that daily imbalance, and then from there, I think we can get some high probability short trades. Okay, so I would stick to that bias. I would stick to shorts, and simply because I really don't see any longs right now. I definitely see the shorts on EU, I see the longs on the DXY, so let's stick with that bias for now. But definitely I would love to have that deeper pullback into this daily imbalance and then start shorting from there. But if not, I would follow the hourly, because if the hourly also starts making some bearish order flow in structure, then we can definitely follow that all the way until this low. And you can also take a look at these intermediate lows here. The market could definitely take a pause at these lows on the hourly time frame, for example. But yeah, To keep things short, I am bearish bias, either looking for a bigger daily pullback, or if the 40 time frame starts peaking down, I'm definitely gonna follow it. GBP USD is fundamentally stronger than Euro USD because the pound is stronger. On the monthly time frame here, we also didn't really manage to close above. Well, we did close above the previous monthly high, but very little, very small. The monthly candle is not extremely bullish. It's also not bearish. I would even call it a little bit of an indecisive candle. So nothing much to extract from the from the February candle to potentially forecast the March one. Now, coming into the weekly, this is where, for example, GBP USD becomes a little bit tricky, because if you remember, we're looking for shorts on Euro USD and we're looking for longs on the DXY. Well, GBP USD actually looks pretty bullish right now, because if you have a look on the weekly time from here, we had that weekly bullish imbalance. The market perfectly tapped, it pushed up, and then we formed another one, and the market is right now tapping into it, but we really have to explore what happened first. Did it first take the liquidity and then tap? And yes, this was exactly the case. So we first took the liquidity, and right now we're pulling back into that weekly bullish imbalance by forming a daily bearish one. So if you ask me, GU will definitely not be on my radar, especially at the beginning of this week. All right, even potentially this week, because we're right now pretty stuck, right? I do see bullish bias here, but based on what we saw so far on the DXY and EU, I'm definitely also looking for that bearishness on the EU and bullishness on the DXY. But this one is tapping into that weekly bullish imbalance, so I will definitely require a lot more information. Not to say that here on the daily also, there is an unretested daily bullish imbalance as well that can definitely offer a lot of support. So this kind of region here for GU is very strong. Not to say even to the left you have, for example, this zone. I would definitely wait for the market to pull back, to form the bearish order flow, to then react, and then potentially trade a break of the reaction out of these support zones. All right, so that could look something like this. If it builds bearish order flow, bearish structure with a bearish imbalance here, then I would be potentially looking for shorts. But when it comes to GBP USD, I will definitely be giving it time to really convince me that it actually wants to go lower. I found a lot more conviction within EU and the DXY, but GU with that weekly bullish and the daily bullish here, this daily bearish and this shift of structure does not give me a lot of confidence. So I would be looking for at least one more lower low, clearly confirmed bearish order flow, and then I'm gonna look for it. And you can even see on the 40 time frame, it's not that weak. It tapped into the weekly, it very nicely rejected here. It didn't really have any sort of quality bearish imbalances here. I'm not loving it so far. I'm not loving it, and GBP USD probably for shorts is not the best pair to be traded, because if you look at interest rates, the pound still has one of the highest. So it's fundamentally gonna be remaining a little bit more on a bullish stance. All right. So that is the DXY. That is GU. Not a fan of it, right? Not a fan of it. So I would definitely be looking for more confirmations if I'm gonna short this one. And I'm also not gonna long it, because I'm long biased on the DXY. So definitely putting it on the sidelines for now. Now let's look at Aussie dollar. This is what I call a weak pair. Now we have been talking about that monthly bearish imbalance here for a while as well. The market finally pulled back, and I'm extremely surprised. It already rejected crazily, and I didn't expect for that to happen, but it happened very fast, because we were coming into that monthly, and then I told you we're having also that weekly bullish, and it's currently being stuck in that sandwich. So when you have this sort of situation, you really have to give it time to truly see that the market is committing from one of these imbalances. And we can clearly see right now the monthly, it just took over very massively. So it first tapped into the weekly here, it gave a day of a reaction, then the next day pretty much closed below the previous candle's low, and then we just started expanding like crazy. Very big momentum lower, and you can see we're having also that beautiful daily bearish imbalance to potentially look for a pullback and start trading it lower, right? Nothing to say. I'm definitely bearish on Aussie dollar. Some of you, maybe the fundamental guys, can update me on why the Aussie dollar actually got so much weakness here from Wednesday to Friday, but it's looking pretty good. However, I was checking Aussie dollar every single morning, and because I always trade with a clear daily and 4-hourly time frame, I just disliked all of that chop. I trade with imbalances right now. I do not trade if there are no imbalances being created, because that to me signifies lack of momentum. And if you pretty much track it after the open of this week, there was not a single forward imbalance here to be traded, right? And then it literally on Thursday midday, it just expanded lower, but until then it was not really clear that it was actually going to expand lower. So absolutely no trading opportunities for me on Aussie dollar, but I would definitely consider it for next week if we form new daily bearish imbalances, and if we happen to make some sort of a pullback somewhere, I would look for a potential continuation, because this weekly bullish imbalance here is absolutely destroyed right now. The monthly time frame looks like it's holding. We're having daily bearish imbalance creating from the monthly, and right now the time frames are starting to align. So Aussie dollar looks quite bearish. I will just be looking for a pullback into a daily or for a new hourly time frame to get created. We kind of have one here, but I will definitely not short this one because it's literally at the bottom of the market. Like, it's at the massive lower low. Definitely want to see a pullback, a little bit of consolidation here, and then as structure starts to shift, then I'm going to be looking to short it. So looking for a pullback on Aussie dollar and then potentially shorts. NZD also pretty much the same as the Aussie dollar. We're having this monthly bearish imbalance and already reacting heavily. On the weekly time frame here, you can see, unlike AU, this one did not have a weekly bullish imbalance. All right, so that suggests that the NZD was actually weaker, and we can see even a lot bigger flush here, right? And actually this one could have potentially offered some shorts, but I don't really look to trade AU and NU nowadays. I really refined my instrument risk, so I'm not really looking at those two at that much, right, in my daily trading activities. But here we're having a daily bullish imbalance. The market tapped, reacted, and then as we broke it, then there was just nothing to stop it all the way towards this low, which we literally took at the end of the week. And right now, again, what we can work with is this very big daily bearish imbalance. Are we going to pull back into it? That will be incredible. And then, of course, if we drop to the forward time frame here, it was kind of the same as the Aussie dollar, right? If I'm looking to short a forward bearish imbalance, there was not a single one. Not until here, right, where we had the first extremely small one, but then the market just dumped like crazy. Thursday, something happened, the market just dumped, right? So honestly, here we don't even have anything on the forward time frame. I will just be looking for a daily pullback. Like, let's wait for a daily bullish candle to form, and then after a daily bullish candle forms, you can immediately start looking for shorts, because after such a momentous push, right, don't expect too much. If the market is strong, right, don't expect the market, don't draw your PD range and start expecting like 50% pullbacks. Not really. 25 to 38 is probably all you're gonna get. All right. So similar to Aussie dollar, looking for a pullback, hopefully into this daily imbalance, and then from there looking to short. And of course, then the next major liquidity point is going to be this massive low. Let's see if we're going to be getting there this week or potentially during this month. Is a dip on gold incoming? Let's have a look at it. So if we track it a little bit further, we had that beautiful monthly bullish imbalance that the market pulled back into after creating quite a couple of monthly bullish candles. We spent 1 month pulling back, and then we spent 1 month consolidating, and then we went for another expansion. And right now, what do we have is we have another monthly bullish imbalance. So can we expect a similar development to here, for us to have a pullback month right now, then another month of a consolidation, and then to expand? Now, of course, the past will repeat itself, but look at that. We're having the first weekly bearish candle after how many bars? After 7 weeks of bullishness. Crazy, right? And we're perfectly pinning into that weekly imbalance as well that I have been talking for probably 3 weeks already. We finally pulled back into it. Now, the key question is, are we going to go long from that weekly, or are we going to pull back into the monthly? Well, you have to allow for the market to show you what it wants to do, because you do not know. It's that simple. We have to really wait this week to see if the market's going to pick up the bullishness and start pushing higher. And if not, then we can say, okay, the market wants to potentially pull back into the monthly and retest these the previous all-time highs, right? And then coming on to the daily time frame, it's giving me a little bit of an impression that it's going lower quite strong, and also the futures and indices also shifted the sentiment a little bit. We're tapping into a weekly bullish with a daily bearish. So this is what I call supply and demand sandwich. We have an incredible entry model. It's an extremely high probability win rate to be trading these kind of setups. So ideally, we just have to wait to see which imbalance is going to take control. All right. And you can probably see that on the forward time frame, because the forward time frame right now, it's not really showing as much. We had a very massive flush. I tried to short gold right here, and I was targeting the previous daily low. Definitely could have taken it here, but I was just targeting the low. Then it hit my break even, and then literally hit my projections. But unfortunately, then I couldn't manage to find an entry back in. And yeah, currently there is this folly bearish as well here that was not retested. You can see when you start having too many zones, it's not a good position to be in, right? We literally have a zone on every single time frame. The weekly bullish is being tapped, but there is a daily and a folly bearish, and there is a monthly bullish below. So where are we gonna go from? What are we gonna do? Well, this is when again you just relax, right? You relax and you allow for the market to develop and show you what it wants to do. Honestly, I currently do not have a bias on gold. I would love to say that I'm potentially bullish, but I'm not yet because I'm seeing that very recent bearish order flow. But I'm also not really looking to potentially short from a zone like this as well, because we're tapping into the weekly bullish. So ideally, what I would like to see for longs is for the market to disrespect that folly, to tap into the daily, to react, to start breaking it above, and then I'm going to be looking for longs. That is my long scenario. But if the market potentially holds the daily and starts printing shorts, then guess what? I'm going to start targeting the lows here. And then potentially I could say, okay, the market is starting to build bearish order flow, and I'm going to be looking for that monthly to get fulfilled. So this is my outlook on gold. I'm sorry, I don't have a definitive like bias here to say I'm short or long, because I'm not. There's so many zones. The market could go lower, but there is a weekly bullish. It could also go higher. We have to wait and see which zone is going to take over. Was this the pullback for us to continue higher? Is the pullback over? Is it not? We just don't have the answer to these questions. And you're usually going to know if the pullback is over when simply the market starts going higher. So why do you need to catch the bottom here? You literally don't. And you're a noob if you try to do that, right? Wait for structure to shift, wait for the order flow to shift, wait for the market to actually start getting closer to that high, and your highest probability trades are going to be here within the upper portion. If you take this as a range, right, within the upper portion of that range, you're going to get the highest probability setups. So let's wait. That is my goal. Patiently waiting, allowing it to develop. And of course, in the meantime, we can be taking some scalps on the intraday, but again, this is a weekly outlook, not a daily analysis, right? But this is my outlook on gold. Very curious to hear you guys in the comments what you think about gold. Are we going lower to that monthly, or are we going to be pushing higher from the current price? Let me know. All right, let's check out the JPY. Starting from UJ, a very nice bearish monthly candle, but it also took the liquidity. All right, that makes things a little bit tricky. Because if it did not, then I could potentially forecast it could go lower, but it already fulfilled my overall expectations, and it actually did it precisely this week, right? And as soon as it did it, it immediately started pulling back. So currently we're having this very small weekly bearish imbalance. This is what I call also a pull-in gap. When the market really pulls into it, and it's usually creating a very small imbalance, and the candle 3 is super bullish. I don't like these because they usually don't tend to play out. But what I can say is this will be a potential nice weekly setup, right? Based on that weekly bearish imbalance. Because then if we get to the daily time frame, we don't have nothing right now. The market literally chopped all week. It literally did nothing all the way until Friday, which kind of went a little bit bullish. Creating that weekly bearish, there is also potential for a daily bullish imbalance to be created here on Monday if the market does not cross the invalidation line, which is exactly right here. I am not a fan of it. So it's been chopped up here. It looks like it's just making a bottom. Right, the bottom to start right now going higher, but definitely could be wrong. This is just a very big speculation because I really don't have the structure and the data for it right now. We did form kind of the only clear imbalance that we did this week is this folly bullish that we already tapped into right here, and we already started reacting from it. So if this folly imbalance is actually going to take us into the weekly, then what happens after this, I am not going to forecast this. I don't know. It could just start rocketing higher because the DXY is getting bullish. It can definitely get respected and then start going lower. Whatever happens after that weekly bearish imbalance is tapped, then I'm going to pretty much resume my analysis on UJ. And if things are looking clear, I'm definitely going to update you on Wednesday. So I didn't do a Wednesday analysis this week because it was absolutely crappy and I literally had nothing to say, right? So that is USD JPY. I'm really not bearish. I'm also not bullish. It's been really chopped up this week. So again, when it's usually chopped up like this, you have to wait for a shakeout. Like wait for the market to just start trending, and then you're going to start getting your setups. I do believe currently the USDs are starting to get a lot better. So the JPYs might slow down a little bit, but let's see. The weekly bearish, folly bullish. The folly bullish is already tapped. taking us into that weekly, and then what happens afterwards, we gotta wait and see. Let's have a quick look at EJ. So the monthly candle also taking liquidity here, and it also took it from here. And the final one that we can be taking is this one. The monthly candle gap down, filled the gap. Overall bearish candle, nothing much to extract though. And then we go to the weekly. Look at that. Look at these last 3 weeks. Kind of crazy, right? Bearish gap, bullish gap, bearish. And right now we did absolutely nothing this week. Oh, we took the liquidity, and then from then we just chopped, I guess. It just doesn't look good already from the weekly. And then we dropped to the daily. Hell no. Like, look at that. This development here is absolutely chopped up, and you literally have to wait for something to happen right now. As I said, the USDs, whoa. I hope nobody traded this right here. That's crazy. So we opened on Monday, and we chopped all the way until Thursday, when something happened on Thursday. Do we have news on Thursday? Yes, it was not the PC, but it was some sort of other news. And then the market pinged the liquidity, and then it immediately retraced back up with a forwardly bullish imbalance, very similar to what we have on USD JPY. Am I longing this? Absolutely not, because I'm not long biased on this pair. Honestly, EJ, absolute crap with excuse. Just waiting for something to happen here, either up, either down. I don't care at all. Currently, I can't be calling the bottom. I can't say I'm bullish because we have this forward imbalance that is literally calling the bottom. I will be bullish if the market starts doing this, and I'm gonna say, okay, then we're targeting to that high. It's that simple, right? Don't try to call the top here. Wait for the market to actually show you that it wants to go down, and somewhere from here, then you can start becoming bearish and start targeting the lows. And this is exactly what we did as well, if you watch my previous weekly outlooks. So currently, it's just nowhere. Definitely it could go down, it could also go up, but let's wait for it to do what it wants to do, and then we're going to make an analysis when it's actually clear. I don't know who is trading GJ, but the last 5 months here, it's just been chopped up like crazy. So I'm not sure what kind of success you're having with GJ, but the last 5 weeks as well have also been quite chopped up. Liquidity is remaining. GJ is a very bad pair to be trading right now because of the relationship of the pound and the Japanese yen, both of them being super strong. This one is just gonna chop. Like, look at these. It's crazy. Look at these candles. Look at this week. Like, it looks like textbook ascending here with all the wicks, and on the bottom, like, it's crazy, right? So literally, what can I say on this one? I don't know. I'm not bearish, I'm not bullish. If I go to the volley, I really don't want to go to the volley. Look at this barcode. So chop, 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 took it up, took it down, took it up again. This is just crazy. Took the liquidity lower, but then took it higher, but then went to take it back higher, and then no. I am just not making an analysis on this thing. I am waiting for some sort of a shakeout on the daily, some bigger candles to start printing, some the weekly time frame to start exiting the range. I'm not trading JPYs, but even if I was looking at that pair, I would absolutely not touch it. So I'm sorry, GJ guys, but this is absolutely choppy right now, and I don't know what to say. I can say nothing because it's a consolidation on the monthly, weekly, daily, and the forward time frame, and all it does is just keep sweeping highs and lows. Like, if you have some sort of a model here to be trading it with the Asian range, then definitely good job, but very likely you're also gonna get chopped if you're just not scalping, right? Waiting for development on this one. Just no analysis. I can literally say nothing on that pair. All right, let's get locked in. Welcome to the futures part. So let's start with ES. Now, currently, a lot of things can be said about the futures. There are a lot of good pointers for the US economy. There are a lot of bad pointers as well. There is a lot of uncertainty, tariffs, Trump, so many things. And you can already see it within the price action. Now, look at the last 3 months. They have been chopped up, right? January was profitable for me, but then taking me into February, pretty much the end of January and the start of February, I got chopped up. So I'm having an overall break even, but I would say it's actually losing. In total, it should be losing month on futures, simply because I got chopped up in a chopping condition here, trying to play my setups that are usually working in trending markets like this, right? So I got a lot of break evens and a lot of early losses, and then I was taking wins, but they were just covering for the losses, and then it was very hard to survive, but I did survive, right? And currently also, like, if you just objectively look at this market, what it's doing, it's consolidating. right? Just look at it. It's consolidation and then just zoom out. Like this is a trending market, right? Super clear. We're right now at the top and we're chopping. So it has been tough. And what has really made an impression on me is that all-time highs remained in check. But also if you take, for example, major lows like this, they also remained in check. So what the market is doing right now, it's starting to squeeze, right? It's starting to build a pennant. And currently it's extremely hard to build bias. I'm not bullish, I'm not bearish, I have no idea what is going to happen right now because we are just in a consolidation. The market reaches a low, reaches a high, reaches a low, right now back into the range. This week though, I had a profitable week this week. Hopefully I finish, luckily I finish at least the last week profitable. I only traded on Thursday. Why? Because I waited literally for the market to show me, is it going to go higher to all-time highs? No. Then it printed that massive candle. Then it printed a daily bearish imbalance, then another one. And then it tapped it on Wednesday. And then I literally took the short on Thursday. Oh, and I also took a break even on Friday trying to long it. But then Trump was speaking with Zelensky. So I managed very fast, and good that I did, because it would have been a stop loss. But we failed to make a new daily bearish imbalance on Friday. This Friday candle was really popping higher. So does that mean we're going to go for this liquidity point? That will be the usual forecast that I would make. But I'm just very, very skeptical of making forecasts right now on the indices, because currently the biggest and the best thing you can do is to literally just flow with the market and listen to the vibe and just follow with what is happening into the session. Because if I tell you right now, well, I'm bearish, right? But then the market starts going higher because sentiment shifts, then I'm definitely going to be wrong and I'm going to be noob, because you should not be having like biases like this, especially for indices, right? So currently, I really don't have any zones. Like we had that hourly zone. The market then took out the previous daily low. This is why I also look for longs here, but I got stopped out on break even. And we had this very massive expansion within the very last hour. So if the first 4 hours of the new week potentially create a hourly bullish imbalance, that could be a good confluence for me to start looking for longs. But then I'm only going to be targeting this high here or this high. That's it. Like what happens afterwards, I not only don't care, but I'm not going to forecast, because I could have said, like, for example, I don't know, here, all right, we're going for all-time highs, we're bullish, no, the market dips. All right, the all-time highs, no, right? Or here we're going short, no. When you think you're going somewhere, the market ends up retracing nowadays. It's pretty tough. So again, my tip is to focus on low-hanging fruits. Don't have big expectations. Only focus on the thing that is the closest to you. So the closest momentum, which I look through imbalances, and the closest liquidity point, which is the highs and the lows. That's the current entry model that works. Don't push yourself too much. And of course, wait for the market to truly show you where it wants to go, and then we're going to strike. So currently, this is kind of a setup that I'm going to be looking for if I'm trading on Monday. If we do see that bullishness sustain, I'm just going to be targeting these recent highs. And then what happens afterwards? No idea. I'm just going to be carefully reading the news, carefully evaluating the market and the vibe. And then, of course, we just keep surviving until it finally starts trending. Let's have a look at NQ. I really stocked up big time on tech stocks this week for my portfolio. Looks like we're having a dip, but even if you have a look here within the last quite a few months, it hasn't been really moving amazing. Like compare it, for example, to the beautiful downtrend here, to the beautiful uptrend here and here. Since pretty much, yeah, since the end of 2024 towards here, the beginning of this year, not amazing. And then if we really start zooming into the very recent price action here, also not amazing, right? So we failed to make new all-time highs, but unlike ES, NQ was a lot weaker. So it actually came in to take a liquidity point, while if I just take it very quickly to ES is not taking anything, right? It made this high, it didn't take it. It made this low, it didn't take it. It made this low as well, it didn't take it. So why is it doing this? It's just compressing right now. This one took the liquidity, which is interesting. And also the weekly candle is quite bearish. So I'm really interested to see if after the candle closure of this week, the incoming week, we are going to have a weekly bearish imbalance. That is going to be very key, because if we do, then that could start exposing, like, for example, all the lows below. But if we have a massive pop higher right here, then that could also mean that we are resuming the bullishness. But to me right now, this one definitely looks a lot more bearish than ES. Like immediately since we opened, we started making these daily bearish balances. Here we didn't pull back. It's just the market just opens and it flushes. And you can see here also, unlike the S&P, this one has a daily bearish imbalance. Remember, this one invalidated it, so the ES was getting a lot stronger because YM also got very strong. But NQ looks like it's the weakest, and it's also having a daily bearish imbalance. So that immediately does not give me a lot of confidence for taking longs on ES. But it also doesn't give me a lot of confidence in taking shorts on NQ, because if ES and YM go bullish, NQ usually also tends to follow. Very tough, you can see. Very, very, very tough. Every single day started with a very nice drop on the market open, and then that drop got bought back up, and then the market chopped. And then the new day opens, massive drop, gets back up, right? So the end of the day, again, very similar to SPX. I will be looking to see if we're having a probably bullish imbalance here, getting into that daily. I will definitely be waiting to evaluate what is going to be happening in front of that daily. If it starts failing, then I could start targeting, for example, the upper ones. But to me, it looks pretty bearish. It does look like it might want to dip a little bit further, but that could once again just be a liquidity grab for us to start heading higher. Because if you look at ES is actually making higher lows right now, indicating that it's stronger. But also YM also, look at the higher low on YM. This one didn't get any close to this low here from January. Only Nasdaq actually took it. So Nasdaq is the weakest, but with the other two being strong, it doesn't give me a lot of confidence to keep shorting the index. So again, guys, as I keep saying with indices currently, the best strategy is don't have too much of a bias. Just show up and evaluate the current momentum, the current order flow, and only target very recent and very safe liquidity points. Okay, so I'm currently not bearish, I'm not bullish, I'm just waiting for Monday to open, waiting to evaluate what is going to be happening. I would very likely also let Monday to develop a little bit to give me more clue, and then I'm only going to be trading on the days that it's super clear, I have a clear bias and a clear liquidity point. Currently, everything is messed up. And yes, finally looking at YM also, this one has been also extremely choppy within the last couple of months, but sometimes it's the weakest. Currently, it's the strongest index. It is also tapping, for example, into this weekly bullish imbalance here. If I can even draw it, I don't like the imbalances that I can't even draw. They look like this. We tapped into that one, but at the same time, the very recent thing that got created right now is this weekly bearish. So you can see every index is different, right? Nasdaq doesn't have a weekly bearish, but it could form. ES does not have it as well, but this one actually formed it. So if YM actually responds from that one and starts going higher, this will definitely start giving me confidence to short ES and NQ. So this is why if you're trading futures, you really have to monitor all of them, because there is a very big edge in monitoring all of them, because if all of them are potentially not really moving in the same way, then this causes trouble for the rest. Like I have a thing here where I do 3 charts and I have all the 3 indexes like that. And so if I see differences between all of them, I usually lower the risk, or I try not to engage at all. So currently tapping into weekly bullish, weekly bearish is forming as well. Really, really, really key to see what this weekly bearish is going to do. All right. And then dropping onto the daily, not much of an information here. It was an absolutely chopped up week. Friday again, sweeping previous daily low, massively expanding towards the previous daily high and towards that weekly imbalance. So once again, let's wait and see what is going to happen when we tap here. If the market starts potentially responding bearish, I do believe then Nasdaq and ES can definitely also start getting bearish. But if this one starts disrespecting it and starts getting pretty strong above it, and maybe even we start printing daily bullish imbalances, then maybe the uptrend resumes. But who knows? Who knows? Currently, what we're literally doing right now is we're just compressing. We are compressing, and the breakout is going to come pretty soon. Something is going to happen. But then until then, the main thing that we should do, guys, is just survive. Just survive, manage risk, not blow our accounts, remain above waters, right? And then when the good times come in, we're going to be having money. We're going to still be in the game, and then we're going to be making the best. Okay? So that's why I'm really key to observe this weekly imbalance. I would absolutely be monitoring this one to see how it's going to respond. And then based on that response, I will then be building a more convincing bias on ES and NQ. I don't know about this DAX, but this one is just going crazy. So we are making monthly bullish imbalance here. It is a breakaway gap. So are we going to expect for the market to flush all the way down? Not really. Dropping onto the weekly time frame, weekly bullish imbalance. Like, this is what I want to see on the US markets. Beautiful, strong, momentous uptrend. Maybe I should have traded DAX, not the US indices right now. And currently we're having that weekly bullish, and then we also kind of ended up last week with that daily bearish. this week was very chopped up even on DAX, right? So we have this daily bearish, kind of it reacted here, but then it tried to break it, going towards all-time highs, but it really didn't do much getting there. It's chopped up this week. If you look at the weekly candle, it's an inside bar, so next week it can do many things. I would definitely love for it to pull back into that weekly and then start looking for longs from there, because that is going to be very good pricing. You're really going to be looking to buy low and then you're having a clear target. Well, if you're looking to, for example, buy it up there or buy it up there, we're already at all-time highs and you don't know for how much it's going to expand. So currently it's just accumulating, it's resting a little bit. But even if I have a look on the hourly time frame, there was not a single imbalance being created here. So since Wednesday, like even since the beginning, right? There was that first one, but then we tapped into the daily react. And then on the bullish side, we had that one. This one failed. And then since then, nothing. So DAX definitely also on the sidelines. Not having a clear bias. I'm literally going to be looking for this setup, which looks pretty good. But if the market starts printing bullishness and start guiding me towards all-time highs, then of course, from here, you can be looking for a long setup as well. So that's DAX. Definitely a lot more bullish than the US indices are. So let's see how it's going to develop this week. All right, so let's show a little bit of a recap. So I am definitely inclined towards bullishness on the DXY. Very nice daily bullish imbalance, very nice monthly and weekly candle anatomy. The hourly time frame is also bullish. So I'm going to be looking for longs on the DXY and also shorts on EU. Because EU is going to be potentially the weakest currency right now, also based on the interest rates. Unlike GU has still daily bullish and it also has a weekly bullish imbalance. So I will definitely be more careful shorting GU, and I'm going to be preferring to short EU. Aussie dollar and NZD dollar also super weak, super nice with daily bearish imbalances, and they're also coming from the monthly bearish. So super clear setups, EU, AU, NZD, USD. Gold, very 50-50. It's having too many zones, too many imbalances, like it could pull back deeper into the monthly, but right now it's tapping into the weekly. It could go higher from the weekly, but the daily and the hourly are still bearish. So you really have to give it time. You really have to give it time to see how it's going to respond from the hourly and the daily, and then pretty much determine what is going to be happening next. The JPYs are definitely not tradable in my opinion right now. The USD JPY looks a little bit bullish, but it's going to be tapping into weekly bearish imbalance. EJ, absolute chop. GJ, even worse. Not touching them. Indices, as I explained, they're currently very indecisive as well. They're in a consolidating market right now on the daily. They're starting to compress as well. Like ES is looking very balanced. NQ is looking a little bit more bearish because it's printing all of these daily bearish imbalances here. It actually broke structure and it has a daily bearish imbalance to end the week with, which ES and YM did not have. But YM is overall stronger, printing a higher low right now, but it also has a bearish weekly imbalance, which if it holds, then that is going to expose a lot more bearishness for the other two. So I'm definitely going to be observing them a lot more going into next week and really trying to determine the bias before I take any trades. DAX has a weekly bearish imbalance just below it, so I will definitely look if it pulls back into it and then look for longs. But if not, you can follow hourly bullish order flow into the all-time highs. So that's the market this week. Again, prioritizing DXY longs and of course EU, AU, and NU longs, waiting for gold and GU to set up, avoiding the JPYs, and of course really focusing on the indices to determine what the bias will be. So let me know, guys, in the comments, what are you looking for next week? What kind of setups did you take this week? What are your expectations for the pairs that you're trading? Let me know in the comments, and if the market is looking good, I'm gonna catch up with you on Wednesday.